We got a little bit of Strokes action going there. Reptilia, one of the greatest songs to play on Guitar Hero. It's Eric, it's Adam, and here are your power rankings. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on most of the teams today. Not a whole lot of shakeup in the power rankings, except for one team, and we will get to that team here in a little bit. There was a little bit of shakeup at the top, though. Still a Helmholtz at number one, but alas, it is not me. Unnecessary fisting comes in at number one. Mike wants to claim that it's all an easy schedule why Andy is undefeated. I voted for a great starting lineup. He's got the highest projections the rest of the way. Puts him number one in the standings, number one in the power rankings, the favorite to win the championship, and all that stuff. But that's just for this week. And as we've seen over the past couple weeks, a lot can change from week to week. But as of right now, Andy, you are number one in the power rankings. Mike Mostrom comes in at number... Oh, you thought I was going to say Mike Samuels. Mike Mostrom comes in at number two. Andy's projected 1596, Mike 1548, so a little bit of a cushion between Andy and Mike as well. I dropped down to number three. Yahoo doesn't like Andrew Luck at all. Has him like the 11th rated quarterback the rest of the way, even though he's, I think, ranked fourth overall in quarterback points up until this point. So they don't like Luck. They like the rest of my team, though, I suppose. Third is pretty good still. I'm projected 1519. Scott projected 1508. And still, big gap between 4 and 5. I'm putting us, the top four, as the contenders. Other teams that have good records, Dustin, Derek L. I'm going to call them pretenders yet. I know they continue to prove Yahoo wrong, but hey, these are my power rankings. You don't like it? Make your own power rankings. No, come up with something more creative than that. Doug comes in at 5, 1424. Dustin at 6, 1420 the rest of the way. And then we've got the next two spots are my division mates, Derek L and Derek N. They're up still from the drudges of the league. Not running around in 11th or 12th like they started off the year. Derek L continues to do well. 4-1 right now. I'm still staring up at him in the division standings. Derek N. Team isn't terrible. No real glaring weaknesses on his team. And that puts him right there at number 8. Now we have the teams that are going in the wrong direction. Jared, well, we knew that you were done playing for this year with that trade that you made with Durs a couple weeks ago. You come in at number 9, 1349 the rest of the way. I'm going to save number 10. Coming in at number 11 is Derek Mostrom, projected 1235 the rest of the way. And in 12th is Mike Samuels, projected 1205 the rest of the way. Number 10. I've mentioned this a few times. Had a great starting lineup, or at least a very solid starting lineup, but not a whole lot of depth behind that. He experienced an injury this past week. Julio Jones out for the year. And this decimates Jason Ferguson's team. Julio, still a nice piece going forward. If you got the cap room going forward, Julio is going to be a top 5 wide receiver, assuming he can come back from this injury pretty much for the next 5 years while he's still under contract. It just hurts. It kills Jason's team going forward this year. So it's not only just losing, a stud number 1 wide receiver like that, but all of your other wide receivers get bumped up a spot as well, to the point that Jason's number 1 wide receiver right now is the 4th worst number 1 wide receiver. That's okay. having the ninth best WR1. But after that, it gets real sketchy. He's got the worst WR2, the worst WR3, the worst WR4, and the second worst WR5. His wide receiver 3, someone that he has to plan on playing every single week, is projected 63 points the rest of the way. Yeah, so it remains to be seen if Jason's going to fold up shop and start playing for the future, or if he is going to be able to move Julio for some immediate help. So we'll get to the championship odds here shortly, so you can kind of see who might want to start playing for the future a little bit that doesn't already know. So, yeah, so quickly. Andy, Mike, Mostrom, Eric, Scott, Doug, Dustin, Derek L., Derek N., Jared, Jason, Derek, Mostrom, and Mike Samuels are your power rankings. We'll flip over to the week lines. The biggest spread of the week includes Jason, and now the injury doesn't hurt him this week because Julio was on a bye anyway. But Mike Mostrom is a minus 200 favorite over Jason, plus 160. Derek Newberta, 0-5 Derek Newberta, is a minus 170 favorite over Mike Samuels at plus 135. Scott is a minus 150 favorite over Derek L, plus 120. So do work, Scott. Beat Derek L for me. I'm a minus 125 favorite over undefeated Andy, plus 100. So the winless team is favored, and the undefeated team is the underdog. Go figure. Dustin is a minus 120 favorite over Doug, minus 105. And in the Kia Sorrento matchup of the week, it's the closest projected game of the week. We've got Derek Mostrom, minus 115 over Jared, minus 105. The division rankings, North, I'm taking this off the board. Andy is going to win the North. He's got over a 99% probability of winning the division. So according to the spreadsheet, Andy's at minus 12,000, which means that you would have to bet $12,000 to win $100 on this bet. But Doug and Jared are off the board. They have a less than 1% probability of winning the division. Let's move on to the East, where the next biggest favorite is located, and that's Derek L. Derek L is a minus 210 favorite. I'm plus 175, and Derek Newberta is off the board. Derek continues to win. So even if I win, I'm not catching him. So hopefully this time next week that flips, but that remains to be seen. The next biggest favorite is Mike Mostrom is minus 170, Scott plus 220, and Derek Mostrom plus 750. And then the closest division, again, this whole video cast is about Jason. I dedicate this video to you, Jason Q. Ferguson. But Dustin's the favorite right now. They're tied at 4-1. The only division with two teams that have that good of a record. Dustin's minus 120, Jason plus 105, and Mike Samuels hanging on at plus 4,000. For the championship probabilities or the championship lines, they look like this. Andy plus 200, Derek L plus 600. Myself and Dustin plus 625, Mike Mostrom plus 725. Jason, even with his lack of depth, him hurting at wide receiver, he's still plus 750, so not terrible. But a lot of that is attributed to the fact that he's 4-1 already. Scott plus 1,000, and then we've got a few long shots. Doug, Derek, and Jared, you're still on the board at plus 8,500. Mike Samuels and Derek Newberta, less than a 1% chance of winning the championship, so I have taken you off the board. I cheated a little bit this week on the who says no to this trade, because there's actually been some discussion between Andy and Derek L. So two teams leading their divisions, looking to possibly shake it up just a little bit. Andy continues to want tight end help for his bye week and just in general. And Derek has that tight end, and Julius Thomas. So I believe this trade was offered. It's at least been discussed, but I'd like to know what everyone else thinks. Who says no to this trade? Andy sends Keenan Allen and Willis McGahee to Derek L. in exchange for Julius Thomas. It works out for contract years. Both Andy and Derek are very, very close to the minimum, so there is some criteria that they have to meet there, but this trade does meet that. Not a ton of salary involved, so there would have to be some salary compensation for this year, but it works for the year's future. That I don't think that should be a reason to stop them from making the trade. In terms of actual projections, it keeps Andy's total projected points at the exact same. It actually gives Derek L. a slight bump of 12 points for the rest of the year. So, I don't know, maybe I'm helping out my division opponent a little bit too much here, but who says no to that trade? Keenan Allen, Willis McGahee for Julius Thomas. Yeah, that's all that I got next week. I will be back again next week. Peace.